Hey.
Hope you all had a wonderful and blessed Easter. Happy Monday.
Good start.
I think so.
Hello, Dana. Hello, Ann. How's everyone doing?
Same to you, Dana.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. How's everyone doing? Hey, Karen, Kathy, Laura. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I know we were like 3 days in a row and then we disappeared for 3, 4 days. Imagine that. Hello, George. How's it going? So, another busy week. Hello, Kevin. How are you? David, how's it going? Another busy week.
Just a bit. Just a smidge.
If you were to take the lead, what would you start with?
I would say that we have an awesome meeting coming up on Wednesday for a possibility of something very worthwhile and fun and a new location that I'm looking forward to going and talking to the people and finding out more information and the different stories. I'm excited, and it's a whole new location completely. We've never done it or seen it, so I'm excited about that. We have halfway to Halloween coming up on Friday. I know I don't pace like you do. My energy.
No, you're literally going to give it all
different.
away in 3 minutes, and then
And then you
stare at the
Well,
screen.
that's what happens when you sit back and say, "Hey, I want to know how you would do it." This is how Chris dives in. I'm a jumper in. Didn't you notice that?
You're just.
I just
jump
in.
All the years we've been doing this. We've been doing this since COVID. Literally, that was what,
We
5
have.
years now, and you have yet to learn a thing about pacing.
And you have to learn that I am not you.
You think you would have just picked something up along the way of not just everything out and then not having anything left for
Do you know what?
the other 58 minutes and
Do you know what
30 seconds.
Do you know what sparkles in my mind for me? Is that you expect me to change at this time and point and age. Not going to happen.
Fascinates me.
Nope.
You would think that if somebody watched, trying to think like Da Vinci or like one of the greats, Beethoven.
Conquered.
You think if somebody would have just sat watched one of the greats for 5 years, they'd picked up a little something from it.
Are you saying you're great, like Da Vinci?
Well, I'm not saying that out loud, but I'm just saying you would think at least some of that. Some of the crumbs would fall from the table.
You need to count some of your blessings.
You would think.
That's what you need to do.
Unfortunately for me, no, that happened.
Oh, you need me.
Anyway.
You need me like the sun needs the shine, baby.
What's up, Deb? Lisa, Cheryl, hey, Celine, how are you? John McGinnis, what's up, my friend? Yeah, so Chris kind of covered it all. So we'll see you guys.
No, she didn't. I started
in a couple of days. And
hey, we're getting married soon.
There we go. I took up another. That was 3 seconds. Good job, boy. What else you got?
Oh, wow. I got lots, but it's not for content.
I don't even know what that means. But okay. Anyway, yeah, we did those 3 days in a row where we did go to the Creeper Gallery, and then we did the interview with Michelle and Donna, which was a lot of fun. We aren't planning on going to the Creeper Gallery this week. I hurt my back pretty bad. I don't know how, getting old. I guess I have issues with my back. I have 7 tumors on my spine, believe it or not. I have a disease where my body creates tumors. They're not cancerous, but they do wrap around nerves and create pain. That's also the issue that I have here and with my hearing as well. So every now and then, you get a different little time frame like this where my back just
your body says you gotta stop.
It just kind of makes me come to a screeching halt, and I have to listen to it. And I literally have the heating pad around me now, and I take all the anti-inflammatory and pain stuff that I can, and I just gotta learn to just pace myself. Everything I do is from here, couch or sitting somewhere and on my phone or my laptop. So I'm trying to give myself a couple of days here to just get through it and feel better and hopefully, but uh, Donna's bringing stuff into the Creeper Gallery. I follow all Donna's socials, so I see the things that she's bringing in, and they are very interesting. I saw the dress on the mannequin.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Which again makes me want to get in my car and give it
Next
a go.
week.
But
Next week.
It's not going to be this week because I can't with my back. We have an event. We have a few things this week that we're going to talk about. Not in 30 seconds. We're actually going to cover them.
There's such thing as doing like when you open up a book and there's a title page and then you have all
you mean
of
the synopsis.
The
synopsis is on the back.
No. I'm not talking about a synopsis. I'm talking about they're like little head titles of what what to expect that are coming up in each one of the chapters. These little head titles. I'm just giving head titles. You're going to be filling in.
Sure. From mid-Missouri. Is it Missouri? How do you say it, Missouri? Is it Missouri? We say Missouri. Do you say Missouri?
You say Missouri.
Just like they say New Orleans. New Orleans. Same thing with Newark. Some people say Newark. Newark, New Jersey. It's Newark. Newark. Right? Did you pronounce it Newark?
Newark.
First came here?
Newark.
Right.
And it's still Newark.
Anyway, so no Creeper Gallery because I can't sit on a floor for 2.5 hours and investigate objects. Not the way my back is right now.
Or sitting in a car.
And what? Missouri. And so it'll be next week. And again, there's plenty of stuff there to keep us busy for a few weeks. So, but the last time we were there, I don't even remember what we investigated. You?
The necklace.
I remember we did the box
with
the picture.
We did the necklace in the box with the picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, and let me tell you about that one too. I didn't know.
Thank you, Kathy. That's really nice.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a genetic thing. My sister, my mom, my daughter, actually, my nephew. So it's kind of in the family. But going back to a few things I'm going to cover right off the bat here. Facebook actually has started taking down videos that are 30 days old or older.
Yeah. Hi, Terry.
So all of the stuff from previous months, Creeper Gallery, this stuff, interviews that we've done with people that if you haven't watched them, you missed them on Facebook. You're better off subscribing to YouTube. Go to YouTube, look for New Jersey Paranormal, subscribe to that page because all the archive stuff is on there. If there's any old interviews, any old discussions, investigations from anywhere, that's where it's going to be. The archives. Anything past 30 days is going to be on YouTube. So it really would benefit you guys to just go to the YouTube page and subscribe because everything is there. This will be gone in 30 days. The next Creeper Gallery thing we do will be gone in 30 days. So all that stuff is there. So if you ever want to go back or if you missed something, the Jason Hawes interviews, any interviews we've ever done.
It's all there on YouTube.
It's all there. So, they're starting to get rid of it now. So I don't know why they're doing that, but they are. Another thing, it's so funny when you're people that are our age, it's hard for younger people to understand that we come from a generation where you could say a lot of things on the radio and on TV and in movies that you just flat out cannot say or discuss or talk about. And some of them are 100% correct. It was wrong to say some of those words and talk about some of those things. But again, we come from a time where it was normal to see it on TV and to hear it on the radio and to see it in movies. But now they're really cracking down, especially TikTok. were doing that investigation, and we were just reading the description of the person's life
And what happened to them?
and yeah, the things that they had gone through, and TikTok immediately shut us down. And it was because um, they prefer you refer to as unaliving yourself when someone.
But I don't think it had to do with suicide. I think it had to do with harming.
Well, we're not going to. But one of the things is unaliving yourself instead of using another term that people used to use. If you use that other term, you have to talk about ways in which you find support if you are thinking of unaliving yourself. You have to, again, mention that if you're feeling that way, reach out to someone, seek professional help, call a friend, just do anything you can to help yourself if you're having those kind of thoughts. So anyway, TikTok just right off the bat. And so they're really, really careful with what you can do in the content, and YouTube is as well when it comes to.
So we're going to have to literally read their stuff and insert.
Yeah, because even if you're talking about the correct term is SA. If you're talking about any kind of like abuse, you have to talk about it in the proper context.
Well, I'm going to need a cheat sheet because I'm not the type of person.
I'm just saying this is the way it is now. Which again, you just got to get used to.
Yeah, but there's some words, and don't get me wrong. I 100% agree that there's certain words that should be taken out of our vocabulary, and they were inappropriate all through history, period, and now. But there are some things that I just don't understand about what's happening now with this whole social media and curbing certain things. It's almost like reality is being painted over. If it's not pretty or it's not something I want to face, let's just paint it over. So if it's a dark painting, we're going to make it pastel.
I'm not going to get into any of that because I don't want any terms of service stuff. So.
I get it, but it's frustrating.
So we're not. I'm just saying that you have to be careful, and we know that, and we will be. But there are things that we deal with in the Creeper Gallery that are dark and have really unfortunate stories surrounding them.
So do I need to use the word unlight?
You may just not be involved, but if you can't control yourself, I mean, that's what will happen there. But we deal with some subject matter that is really, really dark,
and we have to be more
and tragic, and we have to be conscious of that and really kind of figure out a way to reword the things that we're reading so that they do meet the terms of service. Just have to be.
Do you know what that all entails? I mean, do you know?
Because I've been watching other people's videos.
I've never gotten a playbook. I mean, I don't understand half of the things that are not.
You're older than me, so I mean, you really have to go.
It's forget the
part of being a content creator means you have to be knowledgeable of these things.
Okay, but where are you getting the knowledge from, John?
From other people's videos.
So we're all supposed to just automatically absorb and what's right, not just by copying and imitating other people. No, I'm not saying that, but I just like, how do you know what you can and can't say if there isn't a guideline for you? How do you know what's a slippery slope? How do you know what's I mean, there's some that's very obvious. I mean, I'm not saying about that.
I'm not getting the whole subject. Facetious. This isn't what the theme of this.
I know, but I'm just.
You want to make it into that? It's not. I'm just telling you that we deal with subject matter that now you have to think in terms of service. These are their rules for TikTok.
Right.
YouTube,
we're using their service. We got to follow. Yeah.
So that. So anyway, we did investigate 2 objects, and
Kathy.
The necklace was one, and the box with the picture was another. And it was kind of, again, it wasn't planned that we were going to go there and then do the Michelle Wire thing. It just kind of worked out that way. We had that thing planned with Donna and Michelle for a couple of weeks, and then we just couldn't get the dates to mesh. So we just went in there the night before because we were going in there. And she read the box, and you heard me ask her. And again, I will never ever, when it comes to a medium, I will never ever take anything at face value ever. With me, you got to prove it. Prove it. So of course, when I saw that reading and I uploaded it, I watched it first, and I said to myself, and I flat out asked her on the live stream, "Did you read the card before you did that reading?" Because that information was there. We read it before we did the investigation. That was the research from Donna, the real factual information about those two women that I'm not going to go over. But I asked, and she said she didn't. So I have to take her word at that. Do I know? No, I don't. But
well, Jay was there. I mean, he might have removed everything.
I don't know. But I'm
right.
just saying that's why
right.
we don't deal in impressions when it comes to
that doesn't guide our
mediums and stuff, because um, I would we've investigated with mediums before, and I've tested the mediums to see if I can get any kind of validation based on what they're telling me. And if it happens, I'm like, cool, we'll keep going with that. But just as a template, no, I'm really not, going to use that. But, we have worked with some where it's worked and they've proven it. But again, I'll always doubt, because I put myself in a position of, if I was not a legitimate medium or empath or whatever, it's just too easy, man. It is just way too easy, especially nowadays with internet and Google and Siri. You can get information in seconds.
On
Literally,
so
with Google AI, man, it is bloop, it is there in a second. So I mean, not that hard to get information nowadays. It's much harder to try to go and validate and prove to someone through quote unquote evidence that,
I mean, if it matches up with what we're doing, it's fantastic. If it turns out that it meshes, like if there's a piece of the puzzle that we have and the piece and it fits, that's great. That's when I get excited.
Yeah, but I'm like I said, our piece is our piece.
And yeah, it's separate.
That's why I'm glad she did it the way she did it, Donna, because it does work really well for her purposes. And we are two separate entities. We're never in there together.
No.
Doing the investigation together, because it's not meant to be that way, and that's the way that
one shouldn't influence the other.
No, ever. Not at all.
Ever. It's supposed to
just
be
like what we do. She shouldn't watch our investigation and then go, okay, well, they got this. Now I'm going to read this object, and you know what I mean. It just shouldn't work out that way. But it was pretty
Honestly, I think the medium should read the object. Donna do her research without knowing what the medium is finding, and just doing her research and doing whatever.
Well, that's what she does.
And then we do our investigation after the fact.
Yeah.
That's the way I like it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
Close. Yeah. It's a good thing it's in pain. Well, it's not.
No, it's just that's how it goes.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. Well, I don't know what you're alluding to.
I know.
Otherwise.
So what's the next thing?
I don't know. What's the next thing? What would you bring up as the next thing?
Well, Wednesday.
The show? Wednesday?
No. Going down to where we're going. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that.
I opened your Siri when I said that. That's funny. I said, I'll have everybody's phone doing that. Siri, look up Creeper Gallery.
Bing, 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 bing.
Anyway, no. Wednesday is another kind of out of the blue thing that happened. And again, you have to really, we've been doing this so long where we've had meetings with different locations, and you have to, what's the word, temper? Is it taper or temper? Temper?
Temper your
expectations, because you go in all the time hoping and thinking, wow, this is going to be cool. This is going to be the best. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be, and you have to kind of like can't go in there with any predetermined kind of
expectation.
Yeah, because if you do, you're going to be disappointed. Some places are better than others. Like again, someone just mentioned Camp Evans. When
Liz.
first time we met with them, I don't know how many years ago it was now. I had heard about that place. I know they did a haunted house thing, and I had never been in there.
Nope.
And we sat with the people, Gloria, who's awesome, and Jim, and great people. Right off the bat, we clicked, and that's always a good sign, you know. But we heard the stories. Oh yeah, that happened here, that happened there. Wow. Okay. Okay. But until you get in there and you're doing whatever, that's when you go like, yeah, this is something.
Surpassed our
This is
expectations.
You know. And there have been other places where it's like we've heard a lot of stories, and it's like, yeah, stuff is happening, but it's not, what we heard or what we thought, or other places where we were there hours, and it's like we walked out of there with like a cat ball going off.
Just
and
like,
a REM
wow,
pod, and you're like,
that was a rough few
hours. We were there a while. So this one's far, and we've met with the person one time already, and now this one location turned into two locations, one of which is a hotel, and the pictures of the hotel are really cool, and we're meeting with everyone together on Wednesday because the hotel is the thing that's haunted, supposedly. So I'm hoping that we have a good meeting. I'm hoping we get the hotel, and that
we have meetings of the mind.
That we're able to tour the hotel, and nothing would be better than to hear stories from people that own it, and then people that have stayed there. The worst thing in the world that could happen at any place you go, and I'm not going to mention out the location where this happened, when they say things like, "Oh, the room you're staying in," because this happened to me, and like there's no need to say it. You know what I mean? If you're going to say it, say people have seen a shadow figure in that room. Don't tell me the night before you stayed here, the people that were here just last night saw a shadow figure walk from the bathroom and into the room.
Oh my God.
And I was like a kid on Christmas Eve. I stayed up with one eye open.
And he's not kidding you either.
And I was turned on my side sleeping so that my eye was on the bathroom, and I slept maybe an hour.
And he was not a happy camper.
Well, I didn't expect it, but I hoped for it because it just happened. I wish they had never told me that, because
then you'd have slept.
Yeah, I really was hoping for it. I really should have just set up a camera. But anyway, this is one of those buildings where, and we used to go to a bed and breakfast in Frenchtown.
No, that place was something.
One of the most beautiful buildings you'd ever see in your life. Big purple monster. This thing was old, gorgeous, huge mansion. And what they did was they spent a lot of money gutting it. So the inside was all modern, and the outside they kept as a big, beautiful, old mansion. Now, we haven't toured the hotel, but it looks like the hotel has done a lot of renovations on the inside, but the outside is still what it looked like when it was built. Now, that works two ways when it comes to a quote-unquote haunting. That's actually what stirred things up at the bed and breakfast. They did the renovations, they changed everything, and then they started hearing furniture being dragged across the ground.
And the construction people their tools were moving, it was being replaced, and they would hear crashing sounds and go into a room, and there'd be nothing that would be broken.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking may have happened here. I don't know. We haven't heard any of the stories yet. But if this works out, I mean, I don't want to say where. I saw someone say Ocean City. I don't want to say where, because there's no point insane where, because we could go to this meeting and it not work out, and then it was just a wasted 3-4 hours for us going there and back. I do know they have a really good bagel shop because we had an egg and cheese from there, and it was freaking awesome. But
did you see what Linda asked there? Would you ever do a live of a house that needs a paranormal investigation with the owner's consent?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
If you had the owner's consent.
It's still a tough one.
Because it's private house?
Yeah, it's still a tough one.
There's a lot of things that go along with that, Linda. A lot of things.
I mean, I would definitely consider it. It would depend on the situation. It really would. I couldn't just say yes, because it would really depend on the type of things that were going on, the way the people were affected.
Who's involved?
Yeah, yeah, it would depend on a lot of things. It really would. But would I do it? Yes, but it would definitely
under certain constrictions.
It would depend on the people and the circumstances. Hey, Alex, how are you? But again, this place, I'm looking forward to going there. I can't wait to tour the hotel.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how this whole thing works out, because if it does work out, then we would then take a drive up there, of course, to investigate the whole hotel, which would be cool as hell. But again, trying to keep everything on a maybe basis, because God, man, there are buildings we've been around, and it's like a scratch off. You know how you scratch a box and you're like, no, scratch another box, no. You go room to room and you're like, okay, that room was nothing. We spent a good amount of time in there. Another nothing, and then you're down to your last little box there, and you're like, come on,
be a winner.
You didn't even get your $2 back. Like nothing happened.
Hey, Tanisha.
And that's like where you're like, ugh, you know, a hour and a half drive here and back, 4 or 5 hours investigating. We walk out going, dang. And again, it could have been that one night, the one thing, but you're always.
And then
hoping.
We've gone into places where we can't get out of one spot because of yeah. I was glad we got out of that one spot.
But that's Wednesday, so we're going to be down there, I think around 1:00, and I'm sure we'll have something to report either that night or the night after. Again, it's all part of the whole thing where, you know, you were mentioning the private investigation. Some people want that live when we go in there, because this would be something, we would be inviting people into that hotel to investigate. So we would be trying to sell rooms and do one big massive investigation of the location where people can stay over and investigate in their rooms. If they make friends with the people next to them or downstairs, they can investigate their rooms and the other open areas. So we need a place to stay in Ocean City.
Luann.
We're not gonna. That's not where we're going, though, Luann.
I know someone.
I know everybody wants it to be there. It's not there. But anyway, so this is what we're doing on Wednesday. So we're really looking forward to that, because the first person we met was really, really nice person, and I literally stood off to the side while these two
mind melded.
It was like an Oprah Winfrey moment where I just sat in the audience and listened to.
He gets frustrated because for whatever reason, people will just all of a sudden just talk to me about things that are very private and personal. And she even said it. The people that I know don't even know this stuff about me, and it's just one of those things.
No, I'm not a. There's several huge differences between.
Oh, you think?
The two of us. And one is, I have to know people before I tell them anything about my life in general. You'll get the surface stuff, of course. I have kids and blah, blah, blah. But no, hurtful, deepful, heartfelt memories, good and bad. No, you're not.
That's because you hold that in. You suck it in.
I believe there's people you share that with, and I believe there's people you don't. I don't believe you share that with people you've known for an hour. I don't. Sorry, that's me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm saying,
and I'm going to tell you why.
Wouldn't do that.
And this is not you because you're not that person. But when and you haven't dealt with what I've dealt with, but when there's a synergy or an energy, and this is what I mean when you know yourself and you're comfortable with who you are and you live with who you are. Don't wait a minute. Let me finish what I'm saying before you go naysay. When you come into the atmosphere and the energy of someone else who has gone through something traumatic, there's a I don't know how to explain it. You just know. You know that even if this person never says a word,
but that's you're generalizing. It's not just people.
I'm not
you do this often. It's just who you are. You just share.
I care about people.
Well, that's great. I do too, but I don't need to share.
Yeah, but you see, you share in different ways than I do. You share in different ways, and this is the hard thing for you. I am not you.
Exactly.
100%. And I like who I am. I'm good with who I am.
Well, good for you.
I don't have a problem. And I have taken hits from a few people, and I'm quite okay with it because, like I said, I am comfortable with who I am. I don't need anyone to validate me or make me feel good about. But the one thing that really burrs me a good one is when people take kindness for weakness. Kindness is not weak. Kindness is a strength. If you can be kind,
we're not talking about anything.
I'm just saying,
changing the narrative. No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
I'm saying it.
I'm saying I'm not going to meet someone and after an hour say, when I was 5 years old, whatever, my family was killed in a plane crash.
But here's the thing.
I'm not going to, no.
When she shared something very private, it is with respect and regard that I shared something small about myself because we were on the same level. And this is who I am and what I'm about. And I'm okay with that.
Wow. Sorry.
And you can walk away if your ears bleed and that's not your thing.
I'm just saying, I'm not going to.
I think everybody knows who you are and who I am at this point. They know our personalities and how we work. You balance me and I balance you. That's why this
not
works.
Everything needs to be an episode of Hallmark.
That's your opinion.
Sally met Sally.
But with all due respect, that's your view and your opinion, not mine.
Well, with all due respect, I believe some things in life are best kept personal until you actually know somebody.
But I see, what I feel is knowing is different than what you feel.
I know, obviously, that's big difference.
Because it's something more. It's outside of myself.
Anyway.
Bye, Ann.
So then we're doing that on Wednesday. And again, if this last meeting is any indication of this next meeting, I'll be there for 7 hours. So
maybe.
Anyway, but then Friday, we are doing, again, this is cool for me because my daughter's going to be there. The halfway to Halloween in Woodbridge, right by the train station, Parker Press. Uses at the little Parker Press. Now, I won't be there for a while. It starts at 4. I think it goes till 9. I have to go to the doctor at 4, all the way in Livingston, which is good 40 minutes from us.
Oh, so, I forgot you had to go that far.
Yeah, so I mean, I have to leave earlier and then go to the doctor, and however long that takes is for the injections that I get for the nerves. And then I'll head right from there to halfway to Halloween. And I know that event supports domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Again, sponsored by the Township of Woodbridge. They're going to have vendors. It's halfway to Halloween, so some people will be dressed up. There'll be different vendors. I know they do some kind of dance, witches dance thing.
They actually have costume party contests for children and adults.
Yeah, a lot of kids come. Again, they trick or treat, so it's a good thing. We had a good time last year. We agreed to do it again this year. And again, my daughter will be there. My daughter makes awesome tumblers and light boxes, and it's called Twisted. What's it called again? She's gonna kill me. She'll be right next to us.
Twisted Realm?
No.
No, Twisted something.
She'll be right next to us. So if you see Chris and I'm not there, my daughter and my son-in-law will be right there selling their stuff. Chris will be there. You'll know it because we'll have the only booth with fireworks and balloons and a clown dancing and everything else that I don't want, but it'll be there. So
it's a Halloween booth. You're supposed to have fun with it.
You're representing a paranormal
I know you think you
team.
should put an empty table and just stand there.
And a banner. Yeah, that's pretty much
You're not a good salesperson.
What am I selling? I'm selling what? The paranormal? Is that what I'm selling?
You are representing.
I'm there to educate people and to see if they do want to go on.
That's called
to a paranormal event.
Exactly.
I don't need balloons and candy and
which I do bring, by the way.
And poppers.
I do have balloons. I do have candy. The table will be dressed up nice, and yes, I will be dressed in costume.
Yeah, and she'll be at another table, by the way.
No, there won't be any clown dancing or no clowns, none of that.
Doing that.
He goes.
Because when I get there, I'm popping everything and making our table what I want it to be. But no, my daughter did have a good birthday. If you follow on social media,
hey Sally,
we it was Easter. First time her birthday's been on Easter. I don't even remember it ever being on Easter, and she just turned 40. So
that was funny because we were talking about that before. My daughter's birthday last year was on Easter, and then your birthday was on Easter.
So we went to this place called MJ's in Manawan, and we didn't know it was a buffet style thing. Food was decent. It was good food. Yeah. But
thank you, Heather.
They had the Easter bunny walking around, a guy in a costume, to like all the different tables. So I kind of yell over them. I'm like, "Hey, Easter bunny, birthday over here!" And if you saw the pictures on my private social media, my daughter with that
she's like
person behind her, her and I are exactly alike. Same facial expressions, same attitude, and she was just not.
That's crazy, Luann. It was your 40th anniversary yesterday.
Wow.
Your daughter turned 40 and they had their 40th. There you go.
But Twisted Dreams collection. Thank you, Kathy. I should have known that. But that's what we're doing Friday. And then Saturday, we're going to be at the Inscape. I haven't been there in probably 6 months as well. So that'll be fun because that building will surprise you every now and then. They really will. I love the basement. Everybody knows that. Even though I hit my head down there at least 3 times every time I'm there.
You knocked yourself on your butt that last time, so you can't
it wasn't the last
time.
It was probably a couple of times before, but there's a beam when you come down the basement steps and you walk into the basement. It's low. And I'm more worried about getting everybody out of there and keeping them safe, moving them. And I was walking through there and full speed as if I would walk normal. It literally hit me, knocked my hat off, and I was sitting on my butt. That's how hard it hit me and knocked me back. And I'm sitting there in dirt.
But you noticed you said that it hit you. You hit it.
No, it hit me. That thing came out of nowhere. And I right down to my butt. And I just kind of shook my head, dusted myself off, and just one of those things. So, but I like that building a lot. That was a gem. That building was one of those, no one had ever been to it. Reached out to us, went in there. Yeah. There's a really old part of the building, one of those, this was built first, like a lot of the late 1700 structures. Yeah, there's always like that little one room thing with the fireplace, and then little by little they built onto it. And if you were to see this building, you would never know it was there because it's on a cul-de-sac of mansions. You're like, where is this farmhouse? And then you get to the end of it, and there it is, all by itself. And that building really surprised me over the years because there's somebody down for me in the basement who tells me a little more and a little more and a little more every time I go there. And I know the subject matter. I know where this person's, I don't want to say buttons because it's not buttons. I know what to start talking about to get this person to react because that's what they're, I think that's why they're there. Because I think when you get down to the brass tacks of who's there and why, I've kind of honed in on why maybe, but really the names come and go, and but the interaction is pretty good down there for that guy. So I like that place. Still to have, and for me, it's a learning thing. Every time I go, I actually enjoy being down there for 4 hours because it's like my own little private journal of the who and the why.
You keep adding to
I'm
it.
trying to figure it out. It's a mystery. I'm really trying
and
to figure it out.
plus, you've been working on some new ideas and experiments.
Yeah, but I can't do it really there. The new stuff is going to come out at the May 3rd.
Yeah.
John Zappis, Cody and Satori. That's where I'm going to try this new thing that I'm going to try to do. Nothing weird or nothing way out there technically. It's just something. When I see people do stuff, I always go, "Well, that's a good idea, but what if they did this too?" And I was watching something I don't want to mention, but I watched them do it, and I was like, "Boy, I really like that idea, but I wonder, like, what would happen if they did
like you feel they need to take it further than what they're doing yet.
With that. I wonder what kind of, and it may be no results whatsoever, but I like the concept of the basic bones of what they do, and I think there's a way to build upon that. So, I mean, and again, with the kind of the, no pun intended, with the death of paranormal shows, you really don't get that anymore because Ghost Hunters isn't on anymore and whatever. The only thing on is my boy Zach and Ghost Adventures. But it used to be in the past I could watch 4, 5, 6 different shows and go, well, that's kind of different. Like um, the, I don't want to call it the Imitation Ghost Hunter show, but it was Ghost Hunter Part 2 with the new crew and Grant.
Yeah.
They had this really cool, it was basically a parabolic mic, but it looked like a giant ear on either side. And it didn't record. You can only plug in and listen through headphones. I have a few versions. We have a parabolic mic, but we also have recorders that could do that. And I thought that was a really, really good idea that they did that. And they just didn't, I don't think they used it kind of the way they should have. I read Cody Satori book while camping this weekend. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. Cody Satori will have their books, I'm sure, as will John. They'll all have their books there at May 3rd. And again, that's it. Last 2 tickets. 2. Only 2 tickets left for May 3rd. So if you want to come and you want to, again, meet Cody Satori, have them sign their book, see the haunted objects, investigate the building, May 3rd. 2 spots left. So email NewJerseyParanormal@yahoo.com. Get those last 2 spaces, and that is completely sold out.
So, will you be taking 2 different, like taking an item from John Zaffis and an item from?
I may take more than 2. I may take 3, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I feel. Why? You can take one?
No, I'm not. Or maybe if it's a good one.
But and the other event that we just announced was one that we were kind of holding back on. Galen. We've done 2 events with Jawan from Ghost Brothers, which we really, really enjoyed. And now we're doing an event with Dalen at the mine. So Dalen's first time at Sterling Hill Mine.
Yeah.
Another meet and greet, lecture. Everyone had a real good time with the Q&A with Jawan. That's part of it. It's a lot of fun to just have them there. And that's what's, again, cool about our events is that they're not so overcrowded that you can't have that personal one-on-one conversation and time with them, especially during the Q&A. You can ask as many questions as you want. You know, they're right there. They'll answer whatever. And it doesn't necessarily need to be about the show. You know, Jawan was asked, Kathy asked about 30 questions, I think.
And he answered really,
and he did.
And he participated in what we were doing, which was really cool. Really cool.
So, so Dalen will be there for the Q&A. I'm sure he'll have merch. And Dalen does investigate, which again, I've seen him do it. I know he uses the spirit box a lot, which is hard in the mine, but you can do it in the other buildings. But our first time investigating with Dalen, and that'll be June 21st. Great weather, you know, up there to be in the mine. The mine is always 56 degrees anyway, but Dalen's first time there. It's always cool for us to see the first time experience for anyone going there.
And the first time ever, and it just happened to happen when Jawan was in the group, I brought in this big standalone mirror that's on its own. It's huge. And I had it facing the natural spring in the mine. And we actually heard, and then whoever's on here that was in that group will tell you, they actually heard footsteps walking over the water. How is that possible? Everybody heard it. Everybody heard it in the group. That's How weird. Do you hear walking footsteps over the water?
I don't know. I love that. Again, I love that place. That's why we're bringing the people we're bringing there, because I do. The people at the mine that we know that volunteer, Tyler and Ken, they watch the shows too. So they love when we bring, you know, Cody Satori, John Zappis, Steve Gonzalez, Jawan, Dalen, all these people. They love it when we bring them there. Kalani, because they know all these people. And when Jason Halls was there with Sherry. So they get a kick out of it just like we do. So that's another one, June 21st, New Jersey Paranormal at yahoo.com. If you want tickets for that one, we're probably about halfway through those tickets. So don't wait on that one. If you want the tickets, email for that one. And we're working on, of course, the expo, November 8th, only one day this year. We're getting close, hopefully, fingers crossed, to signing a pretty big name. And I can't even hint to it.
And there's no we in this. Let me put that right out of the gate. You're the one that created that whole lineup.
Well, I mean the expo when I say.
But yeah, we. So that's the fact that if you pull this off is mind-boggling.
But it's a pretty big name. I can't even hint or allude to who it is or anything, because it's not done yet. The person has the contract, and I'm waiting literally just for a signature. That's what I'm waiting for. So hopefully, my stomach crawling like crazy. Hopefully, I get that tonight or tomorrow. And then there's some other things that need to happen before we can make an announcement. But this one, I would be really, really happy for. Really, really happy for. And this is almost a for John and everyone else signing. I mean, because a lot of the, again, when we first started the expo, you know, I'd never been to a paranormal convention ever, anywhere. We just didn't do that. And I'd always wanted to meet Jason Hawes. I watched Ghost Hunters like everybody else. And I met Steve at a Dunkin' Donuts. But I always wanted to meet Dave and Jason, of course, and Grant. And
I went to Gettysburg to meet John Zappis.
Yeah, and I was just as thrilled bringing these people into the expo and getting to hang out with, you know, Adam Amy and Chip and the Ghost Brothers and Project Fear. And I get just as much a kick out of that as anyone, you know, but this one would really, really be cool for me after meeting all of those people. So it is somebody new, but I can't say anything other than that. And I know people are like, oh, you know, because it may not happen. That's why I can't.
Yeah, he doesn't like to put it out
like
there.
It could fall apart as quick as it came together, and then I'm going to be like, I'm going to be so bummed if that were to happen. But man, if you guys knew who this person was, I'm sure you'd want to come. So keep that date in your pocket. If you're not planning on coming, if you're on the fence about it, maybe after this next announcement, you know, you're going to want to come to the parties. You're going to want to come to the expo because this could be, who knows? Every year could be the last one. This could very well be the last one. We're going to try to blow it out.
And this person's going to do a VIP party.
Yeah, maybe both. Maybe we'll see what happens.
We can't
give us a hint. I'll give you a hint. They're in the paranormal field.
Oh,
there.
Okay.
I couldn't even give you a hint. It's not fair to do that because if it falls apart, then it is what it is. But believe me, I so bad want to make the announcement. So hopefully tonight. I keep checking my phone. My phone's there. I'm waiting because I've been going back and forth with this person, and I was surprised that they even were interested, to be honest with you.
You're killing me, Smalls.
And then once I found out they were, I was like, you know, if you're a fisher, if you go fishing and you're a bobber, you're like, oh my God, you know, start reeling, and hopefully.
And this was years in the making.
I've actually reached out to this person over 2 years ago. So we'll see. It's going to be a good time regardless. I mean, you see the lineup we have.
We're working on new exhibit rooms.
Oh, that was another thing. You want to talk about that one?
No, go right ahead. I mean, you were like,
go right ahead.
I know he did a show and stuff. I just don't know the whole. My brain is just not. That's why I tend to be quiet about some things. But we met with this gentleman named Rick, and he's been at our convention years ago. But he actually has
a hearse. Who we're all thinking of it is?
Huh?
It's not Zach Baggins. I wish it was. It's not Zach.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen.
If it was Zach, I couldn't keep it quiet.
Oh please, he'd be like over here,
everywhere and anywhere.
You would only see his feet right here on the video because he would be all the way up on the ceiling.
No. I'd be wearing a shirt.
What's Rick's last name?
Shrek.
Rick Shrek.
And Rick Mortis Shrek.
Yeah. So he did a show before because they live in an unusual house with unusual things. He does Ouija boards, and he actually did the world's largest Ouija board. And
the unofficial.
The unofficial, as I say, but it is the world's largest Ouija board. And
Unofficial.
Unofficial.
We were told we couldn't say. We literally had a meeting with the guy.
Unofficial. Okay, let's get those paintbrushes out and paint over the colors. But I know, I get it.
I don't know what the guy literally said.
I know, unofficial. But he's going to be doing a presentation and setting up this whole room and everything. We met with him on Thursday. It was Thursday night that we met with him over at the high school for him to start doing the planning, and I'm really excited about because he has a very unique mind and a vision of how he does stuff.
He's been doing it forever.
I know that. And then I heard him, and I didn't know this, but I heard that he makes stuff out of human bones, like the planchettes and stuff with the Ouija boards out of human bones.
You're not even.
I'm just saying.
Doing the guy justice. There for years. There's been a talking board society. You can look it up. Robert Murch and some others have been part of this. They're like the OGs of like the Ouija board displays. They've been doing them conventions forever. Yeah. And these were, again, the OGs. These guys actually started a society where they were collecting different Ouija boards from everywhere. Old ones, newer ones, and Rick makes his own, and Rick collects them as well. And Rick was asked, he had an idea to do, he wanted to do the world's largest Ouija board. Couldn't find a, he sort of kind of, he had his own show for a little bit, but if you look it up, it was called, I think it was called Ouijazilla, like Ouija Boardzilla. And it was at Michigan Paracon at a convention. They did it in this big open field. And he was the guy who made the thing, put it together and everything. But besides that, I mean, the guy's a brilliant tattoo artist, a brilliant artist, and he's got a huge collection of Ouija boards. So he's going to design a brand new display for us in one of the exhibit rooms in the back. That is going to be unlike anything we've had before because, again, this guy has really, really old boards that date back way, way back. And Rick is a good guy and he's a character himself, as his wife and his family. So you're going to want to go back there and just talk to them and meet them and check out that room because it's going to be a really cool room.
We stood out, I think, in that parking lot for almost 2 hours, just standing out there talking with him because he has such amazing stories of situations and things that he's done and the artwork where it's hanging and who owns them. And I don't want to take words out of the mouth. I want you guys to go back there and meet him and get those stories firsthand. They were just fascinating. The guy's really fascinating.
I like Rick. Rick's a good dude again, and he's one of the OGs. I mean, you know, he was there. Have a society. Look up Talking Board Society. I mean, there were guys that were just doing this when nobody was. You know what I mean? And I remember seeing from the older conventions before we even started ours, Robert Murch was the name that I would see everywhere because he had a huge collection of Ouija boards, and I think Robert Murch was the one who started it, where they started collecting these really old boards and talking about the history and going out and doing presentations. And Rick is one of those guys. And again, if you see Rick, you'll be like, yeah, that guy definitely is somebody you could picture as that guy.
Didn't they have a show, him and his family? With his house
I don't know if it was on TV. It might have been on
one of those little, but like the kind of the YouTube Morticia, like kind of like Addams Family-ish kind of. And I think
it was called House of Shrek. I think
House of Shrek.
I think so. I'm not sure, but again, good guy.
He was there Patricia. For a while. Thank you, hon.
He was there for a while with us talking and telling us stories about the different Ouija boards he has. Before Milton Bradley. Oh yeah, way before Milton Bradley. Milton Bradley didn't come along until what, the 1950s, I think he said. But he said Ouija boards have been around
way
since.
Before. And it's funny, Linda, because he asked him that very, very question. And he asked, what is the oldest Ouija board? And he said from the 1800s.
Yeah, because he said they didn't look like the ones that the ones that they look like now. He said they were different. But he's going to make his own display of the older ones and the newer ones. And you have the, like anything else, the commercial ones. So I like those sort of things. We had that with the mortuary museum and with other rooms that we have. I'm all about creating a different experience for people when it comes to the expo, and we're going to keep trying to do that.
The history, the knowledge, the stories. I mean, the stories, this just standing in that parking lot and the conversations going back and forth, and one story just led right, like we all had somewhere to be, but the stories just kept coming one after the other, and it was amazing. No, he was not. That was someone completely different, Kevin.
Yeah, this guy goes way back with the Ouija board stuff. He's one of the, like I said, look up Talking Board Society. They go way back.
Yeah.
But and again, that's what's cool about the expo this year is that we're gonna have Bigfoot lecture because we have Maria and Russell from Exhibition Bigfoot. Skinwalker Ranch, Tom will be there doing a Q&A, so I'm sure he'll get into that, which I'm fascinated with that whole Skinwalker Ranch stuff. So it is going to be different this year, and different good in that, we've added more to just the paranormal stuff. We've added also the Bigfoot stuff, and kind of Skinwalker Ranch covers the UFO stuff. So I like evolving and being different. The idea of bringing horror in just wasn't for us. I mean, I know that others do that, and if you live in New Jersey, there's a horror thing every other weekend. So we're sticking with what we started with and going with that. But anyway, so tonight's Monday. Wednesday we have the meeting. I don't know what time we're going to be back from that, but we'll try to go live and kind of talk about what happened there and maybe where that's going and what the tour was like and whatever paranormal stuff we could think about. Like I said, I don't think the Creeper Gallery is going to happen this week because my back just needs to get better.
We got too much going on this week.
Huh?
We got too much going on this week. Way too much going on this week to make it to the Creeper.
And again, if you can, it's for a good cause. Halfway to Halloween, I'll put the ad up on our page. It's in Woodbridge.
It's $10 entry fee. All of that money and the proceeds go to the domestic violence for Woodbridge.
Yeah, they have their own organization, and that's what benefits.
It's a big deal.
So if you're not doing anything Friday, come to Woodbridge, hang out with us. Like I said, my daughter will be there. There'll be other vendors. They're going until 9 o'clock, so I'm sure.
And you can come dressed. That's that. They're having costume contests.
I will surely not.
We know you. We know you.
Because again, I'm representing New Jersey Paranormal.
Yes, I know.
Not,
but you're forgetting, kids are coming trick or treating.
We're gonna have a side table. There will be a table off to the side,
to be family
maybe
friendly,
behind the New Jersey Paranormal table that has whatever that is. But
I don't think he had a lot of fun growing up.
When I get there, it'll be New Jersey Paranormal. Anyway, we'll see you guys Wednesday night. And again, make plans to come Friday if you can.
It would be cool to see you guys.
And it's for a good cause.
Yes. Have a good night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Please, especially now more than ever, be kind to each other. Good night, everybody.